Kasey Dunn has been so busy, even Gavin Freeman knows leaving Stillwater for Norman, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of space, and it's a waste of oxygen. But the other way in return seems to work out okay.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at All Day O State. Today, we're partially brought to you by Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends and get in on tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and the best emojis in the game to taunt your friends. Download Monopoly Go today, now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Get in on the action. Game on today. Meanwhile, we get to dive into some more news from the wide receiver position. Kasey Dunn has every right to be questioned at some degrees in OC, but there can be no doubt that he is kind of a wide receiver whisperer, and he can get the most out of wide receivers for the most part and get them to the NFL. When you look at all the wide receivers that Oklahoma State has brought in recently, with the news that we grabbed a couple more over the weekend, one of the biggest things it seems to show is that we're loading up the cupboard, of course, right? But for what? Is it strategically just simply replacing numbers because we have a decent number of upperclassmen this year? That's part of it. Could it simply be because the talent is always being pushed by other talent? Of course. But when you look at the guys that we have brought in with the new additions of Gavin Freeman, transfer from OU, and then, of course, the commitment over the weekend from Cutter Greene out of Perkins-Tryon, Oklahoma. Although Cutter is classified as an athlete, when you look at the film, you can see why Oklahoma State coaches, or Kasey Dunn specifically, see the need to take a little bit of a risk on this guy who's designated as an athlete, can do a little bit of everything. Now, at 6 foot, 195 pounds, being from Perkins-Tryon, you typically want that individual to have some absolutely insane numbers being at the level of competition he is. He doesn't necessarily have that, right? The numbers aren't going to completely blow off the charts and surprise everybody. But athletically, clearly he's able to do enough. His ability to go up and get the ball is next level. His ability to create separation, even at that level, is pretty good. But the biggest thing that shows you that he's going to be able to do something at this level, or at least at a collegiate level, is his willingness to go up and make acrobatic, crazy catches regardless of where the defenders are, regardless of what the defense is, and regardless of what the throw looks like. That's one of the biggest things that stuck out to me. A lot of his highlights were acrobatic, wild, crazy catches. But that's probably because it's not like he has the upper echelon of quarterbacks tossing him the ball. It's hard to put up, 1,200, 1,300 yards if the quarterback game is a little suspect. And when you look at the highlights and how many crazy acrobatic catches he makes, that would lead you to believe that it was basically a wing and a prayer. We're going to throw the ball up to you knowing that you can do stuff that other teams cannot do physically. So here you go. The ball might be 7 yards away from you, and you might have to come back and undercut multiple defenders and also lay out. But we know you could do it. The quarterback's job is to get it somewhat close, right? I mean, Zach Robinson famously, jokingly to some degree, talks about how his job was super simplistic because all he had to do is just randomly throw it up there and Des Bryant would likely come down with it. I mean, it's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek statement, but when you have a receiver that is head and shoulders better than everybody else, that's kind of what the expectation is. Now, if you hit them in stride, sure, they can bust it out and they can take it to the house. That's not where you're going to get out of Cutter Greene, but clearly the athleticism is there. The size is there, 4'4", 40. He's got a 40-inch vertical. The 6 foot, 195-pound frame is not going to be something that Rob Glass is not ready for. So if you take that athleticism and then you factor in the body by glass. What could he be? Kind of like Gavin Freeman, right? Gavin Freeman, who had offers. A lot of people said coming out of high school, Heritage Hall, he should have went to Texas Tech. And, maybe he should have, but his dad played at OU, so he wanted to go prove that he could play at that level, and he did just that, coming in as a walk-on, then gaining a scholarship, then being the punt returner for OU last year. I know Oklahoma State fans are very familiar with number 82 just because of a muffed punt last season, but I think he sees the writing on the wall. Thus far, the transition from Oklahoma State to Norman, it didn't work out well for Trace Ford. Most recently, it didn't work out well for Kelly Maxwell. Heck yeah, praise the heavens on that one. And now we're seeing Gavin Freeman make this transition. But again, I think what it does lead us into is, what does this mean exactly for Kasey Dunn in the wide receiver position moving forward? Because when you look at some of the wide receivers like Gavin Freeman, obviously, I think there's some possibility that we could see a little bit of a maturity jump size-wise, maybe for Cutter Greene. But when you look at Gavin Freeman and you look at Cutter Greene, generally you're going to think that those guys do a lot of the same things. And then you look at the class that's coming in with Cameron Powell, and then you have Matrell Lopez, you have Jaden Perez, and then you could cover some of the tight end stuff, but then you also have Royal Capel. Royal Capel could play a multitude of positions, so it's very possible that he could slide out and maybe play some Z. But Jaden Perez is likely going to be a Y guy. Matrell Lopez is likely going to be a Y guy. Both of those guys could end up being a Z type. Cameron Powell, maybe the only true X style of guy in this group, but you never really truly know. But then you factor in these two new additions, and it seems to be that the days of us having a bunch of Jaden Brays, a bunch of 6'3", 6'4" wide receivers, which is very, very normal for us at Oklahoma State, you're getting less and less of that. You're getting a lot of speed. You're getting a lot of versatility. You're getting a lot of, make you miss in a phone booth style of athletes. Now, does that mean we're going back to some 4-wide settings? Probably not. But it's a possibility. And it's at least opening the doors for what Oklahoma State offenses are going to be in the future. The quarterbacks, they're already set, right? We have a good understanding of what we have a quarterback coming back this season, the following season, so on and so forth. Transfer market could change some of that. But right now, we're happy with the run of 4-star quarterbacks that we've been able to get to Stillwater. So we know we're happy there. From the running back position, we know we're happy with some of the young cats we got coming up. We're going to need to hit the portal a couple of years along the way to kind of bridge some gaps, but going to have some opportunities to grab a couple more running backs. So we're not out of those equations either. But I think it does show that there's going to be some wrinkles in the upcoming offenses that are more predicated upon speed, somewhat reminiscent of maybe like the 2011, 2013 style of attacks. I don't think that we're going to be changing a lot of things wholesale, but if we're going to start incorporating the Kasey here on out, then maybe those slot guys make a lot more sense. Those are guys that you're looking to settle down in the zone a little bit more than normal. So maybe there's going to be a shift to how you're perceiving defenses are going to start handling Oklahoma State, right, to figure out what's going to have the best of both worlds. And all we can take solace in is that Kasey Dunn is clearly looking at the future, and the ability that we're looking for is obviously going to be huge for us. Just like it would be huge for you in this wild, wacky, crazy hiring landscape that we all seem to find ourselves in, to get rocking and rolling with LinkedIn. There's a multitude of reasons why they are already considered the number one in helping you find new candidates for your jobs. It's not your typical, run-of-the-mill job board. They've got so many professionals to help you find anything you need. That's why over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading sites. If you're looking at LinkedIn as the one-stop shop, you probably got that pretty right. 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate in the first 24 hours to lead you believe you probably are right. Hire the professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. They know that small businesses are having to do so many unnecessary things these days. They may not have the same time or resources to dedicate to hiring. That's why 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Make sure you do the same. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Again, that is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Go there today. Make your next hire the right one by using LinkedIn. All right, the right one. Well, the right one did not start off the right way for Cowboy baseball. As we all know, there's a very, very close race for the Big 12 regular season baseball title. And basically, all Oklahoma State had to do was win the series against Texas and then prepare for Bedlam. Now, Cincinnati, obviously, is not going to roll over by any stretch of the imagination. But basically, it was win the series against Texas, win the series against OU. You didn't even necessarily have to sweep them. And likely there would be a couple chips fall where they may, and you were going to put yourself in a position to win a Big 12 title. Win the Texas series, win the OU series, and everything else should sort itself out. Well, OU took care of business. I cannot believe that they swept Texas Tech in Lubbock. So, tip of the cap to OU baseball. But this is frustrating, to say the least. Right when it looks like Oklahoma State baseball is starting to cruise, and maybe some people like myself have been a little bit too hard on Rob Walton or maybe a little bit too hard on Josh Holliday, this is an opportunity. It wasn't a must-win, but it was really, really close. And we just didn't show up. Now, getting a win on a Sunday, thank you, Garrett Benj. It was great. But now OU's like 4 games up. It's frustrating. And when you looked at the games over the weekend, we didn't visually get to see them. Most of us didn't. So a lot of us had to listen to 93.7 while watching some softball. But even in the radio calls, like you could hear just the inability to kind of get something going. And then when we would get something going, it felt like we would shoot ourselves in the foot. It wasn't necessarily so much the pitching staff. It wasn't necessarily so much the hitting as it was inopportune times for things. And then you got to tip your cap to Texas. Texas has the ability to play a little bit of small ball, which we know sometimes we have a hard time with. But they also have some of the athletic capabilities to play comparable ball. I think we've always had the guys to do a little bit of small ball action, but we've also been dealing with some injuries over there at third base, kind of going back and forth. And then you have some injuries to Tyler Wolfert. Then you have some injuries to Aiden Miola. Aiden Miola, right? He's like a 5-star level guy that just could not seem to stay entirely healthy. And then Tyler Wolfert, very, very, very good bunny ears, backup third baseman. When they both go down, yet that is something that you got to take into consideration. But a lot of it starts and ends with the pitching staff. Now, the pitching staff at times has done more than enough to help us win games. And then, we just didn't swing the bats. And then there's been times this year we'll jack up 16, 17, 18, 21, 23 runs, followed by, games where we didn't do so well in the scoring runs department. This is a microcosm of what it's like to cheer for Cowboy baseball. Is it not, right? You know you're good enough to beat anybody in America. I mean, we already beat Arkansas. We made the series or the game against Oregon State at least meaningful and at least showed you glimpses of some of the things we could potentially get to. But it's like we keep scratching the surface of what we can be, and then roadblocks like this happen. And this one is even more frustrating because this roadblock happened to be Texas. Texas, the same Texas that beat us in the football Big 12 title game, we gave them the satisfaction after owning them for the majority of the last 12, 15 years in football. We gave them the satisfaction of, kicked your butt on the way out. And then here we are, basketball. Okay, that's different, right? Mike Boynton and this team were very, very down. So baseball, right? Baseball and softball can save the day. Softball technically did. They did win their series against Texas just to allow Texas to, we'll get to that in the next segment. But baseball, right? This is so frustrating that it happened to be Texas. One of the two dudes moving out, you're allowing to be right in the thick of the Big 12 title race. And here we are at the very end. The door's about to shut. And instead of giving ourselves an opportunity to create more separation to where it's basically just down to Bedlam, we've opened the door for more chaos and more craziness. So now we no longer control our own destiny. Not only that, but part of not controlling our own destiny is we need some other stuff to happen. Now we need OU to lose some games. We need Texas to lose some games. Meanwhile, we have to go on runs. Like, we have to sweep Cincy no matter what. We kind of need to sweep Bedlam now, while also hoping for Texas to drop a series or at least a couple big games along the way. Beating Texas means we pretty much control our own destiny. That didn't happen. So now those controlling our own destiny cards are gone. And like I said, I didn't expect OU to sweep Texas Tech. Texas Tech, especially in Lubbock, when it comes to baseball, has been not a juggernaut, but really close. And I understand, they've had some things shifting. So they've had some injuries pop up. They're dealing with some immaturity. So it's not the same Texas Tech baseball team that we're accustomed to seeing over the last eight years or so. But it's still Texas Tech, and it's in Lubbock. So OU's getting better. Yeah, we have bragging rights for, beating their head in against a wall recently. But I'm talking about winning Big 12 titles, especially with them leaving the conference. Giving them extra satisfaction on their way out. It's not fun. But, softball kind of... All I got to say is softball, we got Iowa Stated, okay? That's what happened. Don't let that happen to you. Don't get Iowa Stated. You all love Monopoly. I mean, as a family, we all grew up loving Monopoly. Well, now you get a chance to get into Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go allows you to team up with friends for time tournaments. You can work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you get to unlock. There's so much that you can get. Unique stickers that you can trade with and compete for big album prizes. Cool new playing pieces you can use to travel around the board. Awesome emojis to taunt your friends when you smash their buildings or heist or vaults or whatever. Plus, with Monopoly Go, it's going to feel new and exciting every single day because they're constantly changing tournaments and challenges. You have so much to look forward to, and there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent freezies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So go get off on your adventure by downloading it now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Get in on Monopoly Go and game on today. So the frustration in baseball, at least we control some things. It's even more frustrating that softball finally beats OU in a series for the first time since 1993. But we had an opportunity to be the first team to ever sweep OU in the history of their program. Like, that sounds really hard to believe that OU has never been swept ever, but evidently that's the case. But I don't know if it was saving Lexi Kilfoyle or what. Or we rode Kyra Aycock way too long. She comes in the game relieving off of a phenomenal performance by Ivy Rosenberry. Hats off to her. Dealing with a rib injury. She wasn't even supposed to play. She decides to gut it out. She was originally only going to give us like 6 outs, but she gutted it out. It's a 2-2 ball game. And then, Cairo they were reading her, right? From the very first batter, we recorded an out, but it was like on the warning track at the very, very, very back of the fence for Poulard. And they stayed dialed into her. And we didn't adjust. We didn't change much. But we still need to celebrate the fact that we took down OU in a series in Norman in their big, whatever, $40 million ballpark. I don't know how much it costs. But I do know that as far as softball stadiums go, it's easily the nicest in the United States. So it was nice that we got the series the way that we did in the fashion that we did it. It just stinks to lose the Big 12 title to Texas, right? Another team that we beat in a series. And this circles back around to, if you beat Texas in a series and you beat OU in a series, then how do you not win the conference? That would be Iowa State. That would be Iowa State. How does Oklahoma State softball lose to Iowa State? I don't know. But I remember when that happened, we did a show then about how the likelihood of us winning a Big 12 regular season title then was like 2%, 10%. You cannot lose a series to Iowa State when it's just that even of a race. And the two teams that you are in this race with, one of which you've already beat them in a series, so you have that. And then the other one being OU. Now, Kenny did say that one benefit of the Iowa State series loss was we were playing way too tight. And the girls weren't having a lot of fun because they were playing so tight. And every error was being magnified by the girls. So, whatever that's worth, we had like a game night, girls' night. And since then, we won, 10 in a row until the last game of Bedlam. So it worked. But man, if you're better than Texas and you're technically better than OU, if we don't win a Big 12 tournament championship, then all of the lessons we learned against Iowa State maybe don't mean as much, because that's what caused us to lose the regular season title. So now if we don't end up with the Big 12 tournament title, it feels like the series wins against OU and the series wins against Texas just don't mean as much. They'll be memorable to us. They'll be memorable to that Cowgirl softball squad. But in the grand scheme of things, how can the first team to beat OU in a series since 1993 not win a title of any sorts? I mean, if you lose the regular season title and then you lose the tournament title, but then you win the national title, okay, yeah, sure. But outside of that, it's Iowa State, okay, that keeps getting in our daggone way. I'll play OU in Texas every year till the end of time if we can just every other year skip a series with Iowa State in every sport. That would work. How is it that Iowa State finds a way to screw us out of championship trophies? Hats off to them, I guess. And I'm sure what a lot of people are going to say, well, it's not Iowa State. It's you do it to yourself. Okay, maybe. But I want to hear from the Iowa State people. Like, how does it feel knowing that if you beat Oklahoma State, it's probably a year that they were about to do something crazy? All right. We got some crazy stuff happening all over on campus. Basketball. We're getting some good news, finally. We got some more good news coming down with football. The number 23 class in the country just got better. And the signs are good that it shatters the best class of all time. All righty, y'all. That's all we're going to have for this one right here. You know I love you. As always, God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen. Here in Locked On Oklahoma State, you could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Do what you do, my podcast and people out there. Leave a review, hit the stars. You're the bricks, you're the foundation, the bread, the butter. All of y'all out there in YouTube land, hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe. Alrighty, y'all. Until next time, you know the drill. Later, my taters. Bye, guys.